doesn't matter about your skill level or anything else. Everyone likes to think it does, it doesn't. There's an audience out there for everything. So if you want to put something out, just make it and put it out. Hopefully, there's going to be somebody out there that likes what you do. With so many people on the planet, there's at least one other person looking for what you're looking for, okay? That just is what it is. And I could just stop it there, but honestly, it's not that tough. You can draw stick figures if you're drawing. You can write poorly or write great. You can even make bad art and be untrained. What people consider bad art, I don't consider it, but there's a thing called outsider art, right? Untrained, all that. Might not be the most stylized, whatever, but there's a market for it. There's a market for everything, okay? If people could be selling fan fiction, they would be, and some are illegally. You get what I mean? So, whatever it is you want to do, you can do. There's no excuses anymore, all right? That's really all there is to it. You might not have the confidence, you might get in your own way. Sure, we all do that. You know what I'm saying? We might think it's a lot of work, which sometimes it is, depending on what you're doing. But you don't need to spend money for the most part unless it's on supplies. And by supplies, I mean if you are drawing on paper, then paper and pencils. If you are, you know, sculpting, clay, and that's it. Maybe some tools, but the tools are a one time investment, and that's if you choose to. You don't have to spend a lot of money to do what it is that you do. I mean, some things are expensive hobbies or whatever, or can be. And I get that. But let's put it this way: writing is free. I mean, it might cost electricity if you're doing it on, a phone or, tablet or whatever it is. You can say it costs that a little bit. Okay, costs that and some time. That's it. Doing the movies I made, I bought some shirts for one, but I wore them anyway, and I've used them at multiple now. So that's all. And I have what, five out? One, two, three, five out, but seven shot. Okay. So you don't need to have a full script. I didn't have a script with any of those. A lot of it is improv, actually. The outline is there, the idea is there, but that's really all there is to it. What I'm gonna say, I have no idea. I just do it. Why? Because I want authenticity, right? I'm not gonna be able to remember the lines I write. It's gonna come across forced and everything else. That's not good. I want my stuff to come across real, so I do it that way because that's more the way I am built. But you can do it however you're built, right? So with art stuff, like I said, no matter what, there's gonna be at least one other person on the face of the planet that wants to see what you want to see. With how many people are on the face of the planet, that's just facts. Plainly, you don't need to spend a lot of money on whatever it is you're doing. Period. You don't have to make stuff that is for everybody because nothing's for everybody. Period. There's always going to be people that don't like stuff that comes out. That's just fact of the matter. And people can say whatever they want, but the truth is the truth, right? I'm 40 years old. I've done a lot, seen a lot, everything else, and I know all this to be true. I also know that if you do things your way, you're gonna stick out. Period. You got no choice but to. The way I know this is I've been a musician off and on for 24 years. Yeah, 24. I got my first job when I was 12, working for a radio station that was aimed at kids, doing entertainment reports by putting a speech on my ass on a stage, right? Good reason I got the job. Thought what I wrote the day before wasn't good. So it looked like I was reading because I was shaking and I was nervous. But all this art stuff is, even though that's not really artistic, um, I mean, kind of in a way it is putting speech on my ass, I guess. But honestly, it's not that difficult. It's just mainly giving it a shot. You never know what you're going to be good at, what you're not going to be good at. And I'm not talking about marketing or anything else because nowadays people always say, well, how am I going to market this? Well, first of all, you don't have to put it out there if you don't want to put it out there. You know what I mean? It's your creation. You can keep it, you can throw it away, you can put it out for the world to see. Nowadays, you don't need a publisher. You don't need any of that. Really, like back in the day, you did. Now you can sign up, print on demand, or whatever for what it is that you're doing. As far as actually reaching people, people can say whatever they want as far as reaching people, but I'm going to tell you flat out, YouTube, because you do not need to advertise that you have a channel. Just use very few tags. Like on the old channel, if I was doing a movie recommendation, if there was a horror movie, I put horror movie, right? Just those two. That's it. On here, usually it's art and create. You know what I'm saying? So it's really that simple, and you can get out to people. Now, if you're talking about things and your experiences and all that, guess what? If you choose to, that can be, you know, advertising for what it is that you do, for what you put out, for what you created. And that's if you want to, not that you have to. Okay? That's how easy it is. Like I said, I'm 40. I remember days when these options did not exist. When it was a lot harder to get word out, when word of mouth was pretty much most important, which it still is, but it was literally people telling each other about it because there was no other way to come across it. So if you want to put your stuff out there, there's plenty of ways to put yourself put your stuff out there. Um, there's tutorials everywhere for what it is that you want to do. So I'm telling you flat out, I don't care if you want to write, I don't care if you want to edit, I don't care if you want to shoot stuff, I don't care if you want to do sculptures out of whatever. There's somebody out there saying how to do it, right? The technical aspect. So honestly, as far as filming and stuff goes, I've wanted to shoot movies for a long time, just never did it. I shot a skate video in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then I've had cameras, I still have cameras and stuff, but I just didn't make anything. I had no real editing experience outside of using, what was it? Two VHS players, right? Back in the day. That's how I edited one together. But as far as editing stuff, I mean, I went to this Bible camp and there was a guy there from Veggie Tales that we had a small group together and we shot a horror movie, and I didn't even really, I think I was in some of the shots, but I didn't do any of the camera stuff or anything else, right? So it was just no real experience. You know what I mean? But then I got InShot on the phone. I looked up some tutorials real quick, and honestly, I was editing very, very quickly. Because a lot of what it is just splitting stuff and deleting the part that you don't want from a split. It's not that difficult. You can put text and everything up. As far as drawing, anyone can do it. Just because you're doing it doesn't mean that you're gonna like your style necessarily. Maybe you'll grow to like it, but your style is gonna be here's what style is. Style is what you do wrong. Right? So that means you don't have to draw somebody that looks photorealistic. You know, you can simplify it as much as you want because it's just supposed to be, I can tell that that's a person or a dog or whatever, right? That's really all there is to it. You can do whatever you want with drawing. You can, you don't have to do stuff like this, right? You can, not everyone can. I draw and I know I'm never going to get to this level, right? But you don't need to. You don't need to be the best at something. You just should be out there being part of something if you want to be part of something. You know what I'm saying? I've been on multiple albums. I have one stand up EP, basically, from years ago. I don't do stand up anymore. Um, I did a channel for a year that was doing movie recommendations, basically, and what I do on here, which is try to encourage people to do the art they want to make. And that's really, with that one, yeah, it was a year, 7 videos a day, minimum every day. And then, let me think, over 1,300 videos, right? I started and ran a magazine that was based on punk, and at that time it was on Facebook. I got 5,000 um, friends or whatever on there within 2 weeks max. Yeah, something like that. And it wouldn't let me add anyone else. So I was getting people from all over the country. It's not hard to get eyes on stuff, especially for promoting other people's stuff along with it. So basically, all I know is do what you want to do what you want to see done. Other people want to see it. Doesn't matter about how good, bad, or anything else it is, you think it is, because you're never going to live up to what you think your potential is, or what you think your potential should be, right? That just is what it is. I know it sounds dumb, but we always see what we aren't doing. We don't see what we are doing, right? Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Crumb, the comic artist, as far as as a person, but his art skill and his cross hatching and all that. I wish I had a cross hatching he does. I'm never going to, but you know, I have to be okay with what level I'm at. Experience will make you better. So you may as well just do it. Get the experience. No, it's not going to be the best, and maybe someday you'll be able to make what you want to make, or think you want to make. And that can change over time. That can change halfway through a day. You know what I'm saying? So the art stuff is an outlet, and honestly, people need to remember that a little bit more, because it's a way to be able to get things out, work things out, and everything else. It's a way to escape for a minute if you need to, whether it is writing, drawing, whatever. You can do that for a minute because you're focusing on what you're doing and not the other things. It lets you get a quick breather, and everyone needs that, no matter what. I mean, that's the way it's always been. Music's been that for me for a long time. You know what I'm saying? I used to go to shows, let it all out, and then, be good, especially when I was a teenager, full of instinct and everything. It was a good thing. You know what I mean? So that's really about it. There's not a lot to this art stuff. A lot of people want to say that there's a lot to it. I want there to be a lot more to it. But a lot of times people, unless they're speaking on the technical side of things, are speaking flat out on what they want to see, not what the reality of the situation is. So what the reality is anyone can do any of this. Just flat. Anyone can do what I'm doing right now. Anyone can make movies the way that I've made them so far. That just is what it is. You don't need a bunch of fancy equipment. The worst piece of equipment or no equipment is fine. The only pieces of equipment I have right here for this is a phone stand, which when I started doing it, I didn't have one, and then a pan light that I got from Home Depot, which I only have because this area is kind of dark. That's it. If it wasn't for it being a little dark right here, I wouldn't have the pan light. So, and back in the day, I would put that somewhere and have something like this behind it to prop it up. In fact, I shot some videos like that earlier today without the stand, just propping it up against something. So, yeah, there's no excuses anymore. If you want to do it, do it.